Whew. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Just Catherine Beasley here with another lovely discussion about Alzheimer's disease. Happy Tuesday it is. And so we're revisiting the importance of early detection, right? Key benefits of early detection of Alzheimer's disease, because I cannot impress upon you enough how different the lives of your loved ones can be when you have detected the disease early in them, the options that are open to them, the ways that their lives can change for the better if there is early detection. And not just them, but you as well as the caregiver or the people who are going to be assisting them as the disease progresses, right? So I'm going to take our time with this one, and I have some notes that I'm keeping track of just to make sure I hit on all of these high points. So we want early detection for Alzheimer's disease. One, because it allows you to get treatment faster, right? Get on a treatment plan with your doctor faster, but also at early stages, you gain access to drugs that are available that can help slow the progression of the disease, right? We talked about this before. There's nothing right now that standard science says that will reverse the progression of the disease, but you want to do everything that you can to slow its progression, so that you don't have your loved ones don't have increased memory loss, right, or decreased independence because of the fact that the disease has progressed far enough that they don't have access to some of the medications that have proven to so far only be effective when given in the early stages of the disease, and then have the greatest potential for the benefit of slowing down its progression. So you really do want to get access to those drugs as soon as possible. One of the key arguments that was going on right now, and what the Alzheimer's Association and others were fighting for, was early access to, or was for FDA approval of a drug that would help give people more time, right? Because Alzheimer's disease attacks the memory, right? You lose time in your life because you stop remembering things, right? As it progresses, you lose time because you're unable to do some of the things that you were able to do in the past, right? And so getting that drug approved by the FDA is potentially going to add time to the lives of people who are suffering from this awful disease. And so, but that also, in addition to the drug now being covered, right, because it wasn't going to be covered initially without the FDA approval by Medicaid and Medicare, now it is. So it's going to be have greater access, or people will have greater access to it. So that's wonderful, and that's what's prompted this discussion. So we're talking about getting access to these drugs earlier in a time frame where they have been proven thus far to be most effective to help slow the progression of the disease, thereby improving the quality of life of the individual. So imagine your loved one being diagnosed even at the mild cognitive disorder in stage, right? You then have an opportunity to work with your loved one and with the doctors, always with your doctors, to keep them in the loop and have them making as many decisions as possible for their care as they're moving forward. One of the key things that happens, right, as the disease progresses is that they are unable to make these decisions for themselves. So early detection says they maintain control over their lives for longer, and their independence and their dignity. It's a big thing for them to remain as independent as possible, right? My mom always was really upset, even when she couldn't remember everything. She wanted people to give her an opportunity to think about it before she gave an answer to the doctor. And, you know, sometimes in haste, people would answer in advance for her as if she couldn't formulate the thought. Now, sometimes she didn't remember, but the fact that she recognized, right, she was cognizant enough and in her right faculties enough to recognize that she wasn't being given the opportunity to talk and advocate for herself, was a real sticking point for her. It made her very upset. So imagine your loved ones getting diagnosed early and gaining access to these drugs that will help slow the progression, that will allow them to actively participate in their own care, as well as continue to do some of the other things, maintaining their independence, maybe still being able to live at home by themselves. Without having to move in with someone or someone move in with them, without having to go live in an assisted living facility. So we want to make sure that we get early access for those reasons, right? And that's, I can't impress upon you enough how important that is for people. Um, it can help delay the need for more intensive care, as I just mentioned. They maintain their independence. You have an opportunity to better plan for the health care that your loved one is going to receive. Across the board, getting into a doctor's appointment just takes forever, right? You could be waiting months for an appointment. So early detection says even if they have to wait longer to get access to certain appointments, they will be able to see someone sooner than if it was detected later, and now they're trying to get into to have some tests, further tests done, right? So early detection says that you can now at least get on the calendars for as many different appointments as you need to in advance. So that's very helpful to your loved one and how the disease may or may not progress, and what you can do to help benefit them. And then for those of us who are caregivers, right, the earlier that Alzheimer's disease is detected, the earlier that we can start to learn more about the disease to properly assist our loved ones. We do what we can, we do what we know, we do the best that we can with what we know, right? And therefore, there's no knock on any caregiver at all for what you do for your loved ones, and the impact that this disease has on your life, right? But when you take the time to get information that allows you to learn more about the disease, what it is that they're going through, so that you can better um, prepare yourself for these interactions that are not going to be friendly all the time, that are not going to go so well all the time, right? Um, but when you understand what's going on in their minds, and you can have more empathy for them, because no matter how hard it is for us, imagine not being able to express yourself properly, right? Not remembering things. What they are going through is always worse than what we're going through, as far as I'm concerned, at least. So when you learn more about the disease because you found out that your loved one has been diagnosed sooner, you are better able to care for them with the compassion that they need, with the understanding. You're better able to gird yourself against any of the backlash that will come from them, right? Um, and therefore, it won't hit as hard potentially, right? We are human and we are affected by what they say, what they do. We just want to be better prepared to kind of have it roll off of us, right? Um, and then, two, you're better able to be prepared in recognizing certain behaviors, and then how to remedy that, or to get them on a better track so that they are happier, you're happier, right? So early detection means that you can get educated better, faster about the disease, and then be able to better serve your loved one that you're caring for, right? And then again, we're talking about early access to these drugs. In certain instances, these drugs aren't available once they pass a certain stage of the disease as well. So early detection says they get access to these drugs sooner, and it may help them, and that they actually have an opportunity to use these drugs that may help them. Getting on these drugs at a later stage of the disease, there's limited, if any, research that says these medications work during the later stages. And there's ongoing research that's happening, and they're always and constantly, right? We're fighting for a cure, right? We're talking about ending Alzheimer's, period. And so there's always ongoing research. Go ahead and donate to the Alzheimer's Association or any association that's assisting. Um, and so, but you want to make sure that dang, I got thrown off by something that popped up. Sorry, guys. So you want to make sure that they get early access to these drugs, and good early detection of the disease to get access to these drugs before they are no longer effective for them at the stage that they actually get access. And then it's also been known, right, like I said, that the drugs become less effective the later that you get access to them. So you get there, you learn about the disease at a time when the drug may still help, but they're less effective because you got access to the drugs later than what you could have had you had the disease detected sooner, right? And I'm talking about you for your loved one, or you if you are listening to me and you're actually the person who's living with Alzheimer's, right? And so with all of this, we want to be mindful of the fact that you have to always work with your doctors, right? Um, and be really proactive in your care. If you have a doctor, whether you love that doctor or not, and that doctor is not familiar with Alzheimer's disease, that very well may not be the doctor for you, and you may want to consider switching doctors, or having being really clear about the care that you need, the care that you expect, and staying on top of getting access to the doctors that you need that can provide you the care um, that you need at that time. So always involve your doctor. Always tell them about whatever symptoms and changes that you're experiencing, and loved ones, make sure that you go to the doctor's appointments with your with whoever you're caring for, to make sure that when they forget certain things, or like sometimes they're embarrassed about some of the treatment, some of the behavior that they've been exhibiting, the things that they're no longer capable of doing independently, right? And it's hard to own up to the fact that their lives have changed so much. Therefore, they very well may not even tell the doctor of things that they've been experiencing, in which case you're there, if you have the information, hopefully, to be able to speak up on their behalf, and during that visit. And you want to do that gently. Like I said, my mom was not very happy at all when we spoke for her, but if we let her have her opportunity to talk on her own behalf first, and then we chimed in, that was that worked well for her. So always be mindful of your loved ones' feelings, and whether they're capable or not. If they are in the place where they're capable of advocating for themselves and speaking for themselves, by all means, always allow them to do that before you tell your side of the story. And sometimes it may require you, in the interest of preserving their dignity, to have a side conversation with the doctor. I know that I would go into my mom's electronic record and send messages to the doctor to say, hey, we're coming in. This is what I've been seeing, X, Y, and Z. So he'd already know some of what was going on with my mom. And then he can ask those questions. And then based on, what my mom said, he got the real story. And if he didn't, depending on what it was, like if we needed an answer right there, then I would chime in and say what I was seeing. Otherwise, I would just wait and message the doctor again. And they were really great about checking the messages and getting back to me and interacting. So hopefully this was helpful to you all. And I look forward to having our next conversation, where I'll be sharing, who knows what, something more about Alzheimer's, something about me, who knows. We're just here talking, having a good time with one another. Thank you very much for chiming in, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.